Hey Slayers, what's up? It's your girl Tiana, aka the Swag Slayer from you know where, swagslayer.com. If you need hand-sourced inventory, don't hesitate to head over to swagslayer.com and pick yourself up a Swag Slayer box. As you know, today is Friday, so it is the Swagslayer Feature Friday YouTube live show, and we have special guest Shannon from Shannon Handmade. Hey Shannon, how are you today?
I'm doing fabulous. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming all matchy. I love it.
And Happy New Year. It's the first day of the new year, which is amazing.
Happy New Year. You are correct. It is the first Swagslayer Feature Friday of 2021. We are here right after you and I just did a YouTube New Year's Eve live party. I was here 5 hours. You were here about an hour, but
I tried to hang longer. You guys are amazing. I just, the parties are so much fun, and I've gotten to do now 2 during the holidays, which I really have immensely enjoyed. And I don't know how you do all of it. It's so amazing to watch you put your shows together and then get to participate. It's awesome.
Thank you. I just try my best not to screw it up too bad. Just So I want to thank all the ladies who have come to hang out. Hey, Terry, what's up, girl? What's up, Michelle? How are you? Hey, C, I loved your live today. So if you guys don't know, C has a new show on Instagram. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, C, but I believe it's called The Fast 15. I believe it's on Saturdays. And I think she said it was at 4 p.m., but I don't remember what time zone. So the best thing you should do, Slayers, is head over to It's Bossy on Instagram. Make sure you're following her and turn on your notifications so you can know exactly what day and time she's having the Fast 15 every week on Saturday, I hope. But she'll put in the comments if it's a different day.
And I love that picture of her. I have to totally admit something. So before I met all of you guys, I don't know how I got to C's page, but I did. And I used to watch her do her sales and selling stockings one time and just having the best time. And I just couldn't stop watching. And I've watched ever since. And it's been like a year now I've been watching her channel. So it's just so funny that now we've kind of all come together, and now I know some of you guys.
Yes.
But yeah, so I've been a fan for a while.
C's Instagram lives are on fire. Like, she plays music, she dances, she always comes out with her lip on and her glasses. I'm like, yes.
It just brings the spirit up, and I just enjoy watching it. So,
it does. Yes. I'm so glad to hear somebody else, because, like, you know, I kind of know not all the people now, because I don't know everybody, but I know a bunch of the people who watch, and so we're always like, oh my God, it's so amazing. So it's great to hear somebody else, you know, say, yes, it is amazing. Because
I agree. And that picture was amazing too.
Yes. What's up, Penny? How are you today, girl? She says, thank you, Shannon. And she said, yes. Okay, so Slayer said, it's the Fast 15, and it will be on YouTube. My bad. I'm glad that she said, because I have details on my own show. So I need y'all to step in and correct me when I am incorrect. So Shannon, tonight is all about you. We are featuring you and everything that you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got started hand making items.
Oh my gosh, it's been such a journey. So ironically, my mom had just found a picture of some of my very first pieces. I started making jewelry like way back in the day. It started off with some keychains. I was making leather keychains. You know, I was one of those little kids that had, you know, lemonade stands, bake sale stands. I was always entrepreneurial. And so, and then I found out, like, I would always make things. And I was in art classes when I was younger. And so I made these keychains, and I went to a craft fair, and they were successful. And so I got the bug. And when I would walk home from elementary and then junior high, there was a bead store. And then it just like took off. Like, once I realized that you can, you know, do wire wrapping and bead making, and then I was like hooked, and just always, you know, earning money and then figuring out how I can buy more supplies. And then I went to, you know, high school, and I did art classes. And when I got to college, I was actually going to go to a full-on art college, and I was going to get a degree in fashion design. That's what I really, really wanted to do. And I also did jewelry. I wanted to do a minor in jewelry. That didn't work out, but I did actually end up getting a metalsmithing degree focused on jewelry design. So non-ferrous metals, silvers, golds, etc. And loved that. I've been making jewelry, as you can tell, most of my life. I've branched out in mediums, like I've done like the metals, as I talk about. I've done beadwork for forever. But also I started doing glass fusing. I've done resin work. I like using like fiber materials, and I do a lot of upcycling. I love repurposing things, and I'll always make jokes like, you know, I'll find earrings or like this is upcycled. I always say an earring is just a pendant in the making. Yeah, so like I just, you know, like people they throw their jewelry away, and I just, my heart aches like when that happens. And yeah, no, so like I'll always have friends and family who say, just bring them to me, I will repurpose them for you. And you know, I've just been making my whole life. And I do home decor. We did just yesterday, we did the candles together on your live for the New Year's party. But yeah, so like this way, macrame wall hangings. I also have the sea collages behind me. I see something and then I go, oh, that would be really cool to make into something. And then, and then I have to figure out what to do with it. So that's sort of been my journey.
And we have to say, like, we've seen you twice now. We saw you at the Swagslayer Ugly Christmas Sweater Party, and you did the snowflakes from just like random paper that we would have recycled, and they were so pretty. Even when like we talked, you know, before the show, and I was like, hey, you know, can you do a craft for, you know, the holiday? And you were like, yeah, I'm gonna do a snowflake. And I was like, oh yeah, we did those in elementary school. We're just gonna cut the little triangles and then we're gonna unfold it and boom, we're done. But
and you're done.
Snowflake, I was like, oh my gosh, amazing.
You had said, right? You said something everybody can do. And so I was like, okay, I took that to heart. I'm like, I need to pick something that every person is going to have the supplies in their house so they can do this with us. And it's just amazing, like what you can do with the simplest of things. Like just yesterday, we even just like, you know, repurposed glass with old nail polish, right? Like, it is, and I get it. Like I have so many friends who are very appreciative of the fact that I call it the bug sometimes. Like I have that. It is not just like I like to make things. It is, I have the requirement to make things. I have the drive to make things. There's just, I don't know, it's just something in which I am called to do. And so so for me, it brings me joy, and it just creates this positive energy and feeling, and this, especially that euphoric feeling when you make something new out of all these component parts. And you're like, oh my gosh, look at this. But I have friends who are just like, nope.
I would be one of them.
How simple.
I would, when you were saying like all the stuff you do, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I have that stuff sitting in a box somewhere. I just need to mail them to Shannon and have them all because I am not good at like making, like there's some things I can do okay, but like that snowflake, I didn't make one because I was like, I don't want to disappoint myself, even though the steps were so easy. But that's how impaired I am when making stuff.
See that, and here's the thing. It's not about not being good, right? Because it's not good yet, right? It's that open mind, growth mindset concept, which is, do you want to? Does it bring you joy? Because if it's not bringing you joy and you're looking at that thing and you're going, oh, I should make something with that. No, don't. Don't do it. There are so many other people that are like, yes, I'm going to do something with that, you know, and that's how the world works. We all have our thing, and don't force the things on you. There's too many other expectations in the world.
And someone else actually made a whole bunch of those snowflakes and like hung them from their ceiling. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is amazing. After watching you make them at the Christmas party live. So I was like, yes. So I thought,
it.
Yes. And I do actually have a friend. She is a creator of all creators, kind of like you. Like she's like, oh, we could just make something with that. And I'm like, but we could just not make some. That's always my first thought. And she's like, no, 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 we're gonna get the kids together. We're gonna put, and you know, because for the kids, I'm like, yes, we'll get the kids together. I will clean up when it's finished.
But see, and then I love that, because I'll tell you something, people typically who are creative, all the creative people are going to get mad at me for this, but like chaos and creativity are sort of like this hand in hand thing. And so I have to work really hard to keep myself out of the chaos. And so if you have someone who's like, will come and provide support, like cleaning, and I'm like, deal.
Yes. Please come. But I understand the chaos and creativity because I'm creative in other ways. Yep. And my husband's like very, not that he's not creative, but he likes things to be organized. He likes there to be a plan. And I like a plan. We write it down, but that's just so when I get so far off and I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to be doing? I just go back to the plan, but I don't plan to follow it. You know what I'm saying?
But oh my God, I love that you said that, because I always say I need my guiding star. And I'm a planner, but I used to be, when I was younger, someone who would live in spreadsheets, and I still do a little bit here and there, especially when I'm embarking on something new.
Yes.
But I've been around a while now. So like it's like when you become, you know, you go from learning to peel, you know, the potatoes, then you start to dice the potatoes, and you get to cook the potatoes, and then eventually become the chef who decides the recipe that the potatoes are going to be made into. So as you kind of get older and you've done all of those elements, you don't really need that detailed plan anymore. You kind of just need to know, like, I'm going this way.
Right.
I think. Until I get otherwise, right? And then you just start going. And I've kind of learned that, you know, in my career and my life, at different points in my life, depending on like where I'm at, like if I'm learning how to fuse glass, or I'm, you know, I've never, like when I first learned metalsmithing, I had to I was like the book, you know, learning all the molecules and the, you know, the science, and like figuring out like all the things that would work. And then once you kind of learn some of that, then you're like, what happens when I throw this in there?
Yes.
What happens when I do this? And then you learn by a lot of failure. And the failure, especially in creative scenarios, but honestly, in a lot of life, that failure, even though it's not what you set out to do necessarily, turns in sometimes to like some of the most amazing things.
It does. It really does. And as a lot of us know in history, you know, everybody knows what a Post-it note is. We've used it at some point. We've seen it. They're set out to make the world's strongest glue.
Yep.
So they made the exact opposite and felt like, darn, we failed. But look what they created for us to use over and over and over again. So yeah, you think, oh man, this isn't working. This is not what I had in mind. But you're really just creating something else spectacular.
I love that story. And I'm a Post-it note like aholic. So yep, I'm very happy that they had that failure, because I don't know what I would be doing with my life without Post-it notes.
True. I lose my Post-it notes. I literally have to type everything into my phone or I will lose it. Like if my car keys could be my phone, like that would be great.
Yeah. And I've lost my phone before, and that's not a good thing.
No. I've never done that.
Courageously thriving. So you like to craft and ups. We have got to connect then, because one of my favorite things to do as a maker is meet other makers. There's a lot of people who think like when creative people get together, then, you know, all the ideas are going to get taken. But what I've learned, you know, the masters in the past, like the painters and others, they would have schools and they would have groups and they would push each other. And what I've learned is the more we come together and we share ideas and we see what each other is doing, it actually creates more new ideas, more new things to stretch yourself towards. And no matter what, like I would do this in art class all the time when I was in art school, is we would be assigned, go do a Picasso, right? Go do here. And then they would say, here's a particular painting, go do this. 30 students go off, right? And they all come back. Do you think any one of those paintings look the same? Not one of them. I mean, they had similar elements, but every one of them was different. And then you would sit there and you'd go, oh, that was creative. I didn't even think about that. And then all of a sudden now you have 47 new ideas on something. And so for me, getting that creative community together, which is Artisan Showcase, right? With Michelle and Jill, Posh Mama Sells, and Shelly, all of us kind of starting together and coming together and just trying to bring that community together not just for the creative piece, but really because the holiday season for us is this big time of year to sell and do bazaars and craft shows, and that's not happening this year, right? So so we came up with this idea and worked together to figure out how do we create a virtual platform to be able
and that
to
thing is awesome.
Yeah.
I've watched those shows, and it really, when you guys got together, it was like a crafting think tank. So
Yes.
you're getting better out of it, just like you said. I mean,
Yep.
people pay big money and they're away from their family for months just to go to a think tank and hopefully come out with something that's going to make them some serious money. So I love that you're encouraging people to get together and share their ideas, so each one of you can still have your own unique, awesome thing. So that is for sure. Christy says she loves the Cosmic Boys missing an earring.
Okay. We've totally got to do another crafting session, but this time there'll be homework where we all bring in our broken jewelry and then say, what do we make it into? Because I'm not kidding. You guys will have everything in your homes to put something together and repurpose the things that you have today into something new that you're gonna be like, yes, I totally want to wear that. So we should totally do that.
I like that. The only thing I make are earrings. I don't have the patience like to do a whole necklace. It's just because I don't have patience, not because I can't make it. But earrings are something that I definitely have been making for a while. And then I got all the fancy tools and I was like, ooh, look at me. I'm a professional. And I make one a month and that's it. So
Hey, and I love the earrings that you're rocking because again, they're so creative and clever, and tons of your personality comes through. And that's the other thing about being able to make your own jewelry is that you never have an outfit that you don't have something that's going to go with.
Very true. Very, very true. I love that. I love that. So Michelle's saying she agrees about the chaos and the creativity. Yes, for sure.
Yes.
I don't know what technical. You gotta let me know, Christy, in the comments, because I'm not sure. What's up, Ashley? Thank you for joining us this evening. Okay, Michelle said a lot of things. Okay, says, yes, absolutely. I love connecting with other makers. Yes, everyone has their own niche and creativity or niche. I don't know.
It's the same. Tomato tomato.
Right, and then all of a sudden on YouTube, everybody was like, niche, darling. And I'm like, Target. We going to the same store. So anyway.
Yup.
So she said working on expanding her Etsy store with handmade goods right now is a lot of digital designs. Okay, well, Michelle, drop your Etsy store in the comments so I can put it on the screen so they know where to get your digital designs, and then they know where to look out for other designs in the future.
Yeah, and also too, we should get together so you can teach me how you've succeeded with Etsy, because I have not cracked that nut yet.
No, not yet. Well, okay, yeah, Michelle.
I'm on Etsy. I've been on Etsy. This is embarrassing, but I'll totally tell this story. I've been on Etsy for years, on and off, like years. And so I'm on Poshmark now. Poshmark is my main platform, or platform of choice, I should say. Yes. So like, I love Poshmark because there is a model, there is a framework. I know how to flex it. I know, like, if I work it, I will get results. Like, and I can figure out the bits and bytes. And I love the fact that they've made it so that you can socialize with people, right? And you can figure out how to have that kind of conversation and talk to your customers and just interact. And so for me, I have most of my product on the boutique side of Poshmark. Now, whether or not the boutique was a great idea or not, I'm still figuring out. But it's all in the boutique. Etsy, on the other hand, like, I have tried so many things. I need other people who have been more successful to hopefully share some of their wisdom on what are those knobs and levers and, success things that they've done to make Etsy work.
I am not personally on Etsy because, again, I don't really hand make anything. And they just started doing vintage, but I don't pick up vintage. If y'all been to my Posh Closet or any of my other 7 platforms, I do streetwear. For the main, I do a few other things, but it's mainly streetwear and earrings. But Leslie from Resellers Passion was like saying, like, make sure you connect, and not only for Etsy, but make sure you connect your Pinterest and like share to your Pinterest. And so Pinterest and create a Pinterest, and then you can share like all your Etsy stuff, because people search for stuff on Pinterest. But then, of course, it's got that clickable link. Before IG had a clickable link. And then you could use that. And then I don't know if you want to say, and you totally don't have to say, I'm not even going to ask you. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. And that way you can keep your stuff to yourself if you'd like. I don't want to put it in your spot. But you also can connect your Poshmark, maybe Etsy. I did it when it first came out. So, on IG, it has the clickable links. You have to go to your Facebook. And, if you have a personal Facebook, you may not want to do this, but you might want to open a different Facebook account, which via Facebook, you're not allowed to do that, but do what you want, of course. Then that way you can go into the catalog and put each item, like it's one by one. It's not like you use a cross lister. You got to one by one do it. But then once you do it, you'll sync your catalog with your IG. And then when you post something, you can put that clickable dot on it on IG. And then you'll have a shop.
Yeah. So I haven't done this yet. This is again to that whole, like, I haven't figured out, haven't cracked the code yet on how to do that. I've known that that's an option. I keep even watching some videos about the clickable link concept and being able to have things on Instagram direct. And I do have a business Facebook page. It's Shannon Jewelry and More. But I have not done the product catalog.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. So before I had my website, I would do the Poshmark ones one by one on the catalog. So I have a shop. But then now that I have a website, I integrated my website. And so if it's not on my website, it doesn't show on my Instagram shop because it's integrated. So my website just takes over even if I enter things manually. So that's one, I guess I could say, con of integrating my shop, but then I don't have to list them one by one, but I can't put anything from Posh on there. I can only put the stuff on my website. But I would recommend when you have some time and you're in the frame of mind to add some stuff, because that'll help, because people shop now from Instagram, which still blows my mind, but I'm like, what? And then the Pinterest would be helpful. And then that way you're getting more exposure outside of Etsy and outside of Poshmark. So you're bringing people from the outside and you're funneling them in to your store. So
yeah, I think you're spot on, because what I have noticed is, like, when I say, hey, it's live on Etsy or it's live on Poshmark, it's so funny how people won't come back to you and say, I don't know how to use either of those platforms. And I've had actually very few people who've come back and said, I don't have an Etsy account. Do I need to? Or someone who said, like, actually, I find that Poshmark is a little bit of a higher threshold. People have to want to get on it. And then I'll say, you don't have to list a bunch of things. Just find a picture, say not for sale, you're good. Kind of walk them through a little bit. So you're so spot on, because the clickable link then on the social media reduces that lift for people to then have to do more work to go see your product or your item. So I completely agree with you. That it will be one of my 2021 goals. I barely figured out how to use Instagram this year. If you can believe it, this is my first year on Instagram.
Nice. Good job.
So I'm, taking those steps. I've gotten pretty comfortable now with Instagram, having fun with the Instagram, doing lives for the first time, later part of this year, still playing at Reels. I haven't figured out Reels fully yet, how to use it fully. But so now it's a matter of taking all of those component parts and figuring out how to make them work together. Yep. And so that's my goal. I had to do the same thing with the jewelry, though, to be honest. I would make, I keep pointing the wrong direction. I would make, which is funny because it's not that my camera's backwards. It's you're right. Yeah, you're seeing it and you're not, brain. But so I make pieces, right? I would do independent pieces. And so when I would post them on my page, it was just so random. Everything looked, just random in terms of all of the different, and I love learning new things. So I'd be like, oh, and now I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to try this technique and this one. And there was no sort of like rhyme or reason to how and why everything was in my store. And so then I started, talking with some people in the community, and they're like, look what fashion designers do, right? They have collections. There's a reason. And I'm like, and I know this because you have to do portfolios all through school. You do portfolios in business. You do portfolios, for so many different walks of life to have that cohesion. And so I started doing collections just last year. I have about 4 of them right now
Nice.
listed. Yeah, in my closet. I did one for Christmas, which was the teal and red coral collection.
Okay.
And the most recent that I've launched was the boho chic fantasy and feathers collection, which it's really fun. I do need to start making some smaller profile pieces for that collection because right now they are big, you know, statement pieces. Oh yeah, big. I'm not joking. These are.
Oh wow, I love. Wait a minute. You might have to put those to the side. We don't have to talk after the show.
Nice and big, you know, statement pieces. And I'm working on a collection now that I'll be launching very, very soon. I just have to get my act in gear for Valentine's Day. And actually, I do not have them with me right here. Otherwise, I would show you. But it's going to be Candy Love. So I'm going to play on the concept of sweets and then symbols of love and have those in time for the holiday.
Is that the awesome purple ones you posted on your IG?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Yes, I need some of that in my life too. So yeah. I was saying Etsy is great and it only has a 10% fee. I didn't know that, so I'm glad you let us know. And then she says you okay, it says you can interact with the customers and provide individual discounts. Etc. messages definitely will help in any way.
Okay, we're talking.
Definitely talking.
To get to the customers on Etsy, I have to figure out how to like find those people first. So visibility, that's the problem I've been having.
Yes. Christy earlier said somewhere in a different comment that she liked my earrings. So thanks, Christy. I saw that. I just can't find it now. But she is saying that she loves your outfit, Shannon.
Oh, thank you. And that's the other thing too, getting to know members of the community, seeing because you know, one of the ways we've come connected is, oh, thank you so much, Terry, is Poshmark, right? That was sort of a common thread for a lot of us. And for me, I actually wanted to sell. So it was 2-part how I fell into Poshmark. One, I have all this inventory, and actually I don't even have like 1/3 of my stuff listed at this point. I have so much inventory. Wow. I am a prolific maker. So I needed a platform to be able to put my work, because everybody will always say like, well, where's your portfolio? And I don't, you know, it'd always be like, it's in my house, right? So Poshmark gave me that. And what's one of the reasons I love the boutique. I really wish Poshmark would come out with a handmade designation, because every day I am falling into other women and other makers who are listing their stuff, and it's very hard to discern. You know, and then I'll be like, I'll look at it and I'm like, that's got to be handmade. And so then I'll send a little note, hey, do you hand make also? Yeah. Let's band together. But so Poshmark became that platform, because Etsy, I just can't figure it out. But anyway, so let me explain this story. So Poshmark, I started because I wanted a place to do my jewelry, but I also last Christmas, because it's been a year now, I've been on Poshmark as of Christmas of December. Nice. Yes, so much fun. I had like a ton of bags. Like I am a purse.
But aren't we all? It's either shoes or purses. Yes.
Both. I have problems with both. And jewelry. Accessories in general.
That means you're always dressed to the nines. That means your outfit when you hit the door is always on point. Yes, I love it.
Maybe sunglasses too, but anyways, it's not about that. Okay. So I had all of these bags, and I'm like, I'm never going to carry these. They need to be with someone who's going to carry them. And I couldn't get rid of them because they were like pristine. And so I was like, I could part with them if I knew they were, because like, I don't know what's going to happen if I donate them. I'm worried about their future. They're going to end up in a bin somewhere. They're going to actually be carried. So yeah, I get attached. This is the other problem. So I listed all my bags that I wanted to get rid of, and I started selling them. And I was like, what? This is awesome. And I had been listing all of my handmade jewelry, listing. And I was like, not selling anything, right? That wasn't the bags. And so I had a few friends that at the time I like bumped into, and they're like, oh, I do Poshmark. And I was just like, what is this? And you start to realize this whole community, and then you just have to kind of brush the surface away and you find each other. And so then they're like, you need to put more stuff on there because people are going to want to buy jewelry with, you know, clothes and this. And so all of a sudden, bam, I'm a reseller, right? It hit me hard. I started just, you know, listing all of my stuff. I had, you know, I have more clothes than I care to admit as well. So just listing and listing and listing and listing and listing. And then before I knew it, like now I'm like, which do I do today? Am I doing handmade or am I reselling? Like which, I don't know. I've got to like focus on both areas. So now I kind of have two businesses that are going simultaneously, and I really do love both of them.
Well,
the
good.
reselling is funding the jewelry, so there's a good like you know symbiotic relationship there. But yeah, so now I'm in sort of both of those worlds, and Poshmark has kind of become my, you know, my home, my mainstay of where I've gotten everything together.
Nice. Yeah, Posh is my main bay. I'm trying to make eBay my side bay, so let's see how that works out. But C says to message her later. She could definitely help you with your visibility.
Yay!
Yes, for sure, for sure. What is up, Lizette? Thanks for coming to hang out. I did put that on the screen earlier. What's up? So, okay, so I'm totally interested in finding out how you started to. You said something about metal. What's the correct terminology?
Metal smithing. So how did I get?
Yes.
And it's so funny because, like, you know how this is everything in life. When you are familiar with something and you're just like, you take it for granted. You know, you're like, this is my everything.
This is normal.
This is my normal. And then you talk to someone, they're like, what? What? Is that a word? Like, what did you just say? And you're like, what? How? I don't understand.
Mind blown. Yes.
But every day there's something where someone says something like, what was that you just said? I don't understand. Okay. So metal smithing. So I mentioned I was going to go to this fancy art school, which honestly, in retrospect, I'm sort of probably very happy about because I did not walk away with like $100,000 crippling student loan. But ended up going to a local college, and they had an amazing fine art program, and even more amazingly, they had, which I didn't know about until I first got into school. I was going to do my art major. I was going to do my painting because I paint also.
Oh, nice.
And when I got there, I was looking at electives for my degree because I started in community college. I was not bound for being able to afford anything more than community college. And then I had wonderful people in my life who taught me all these tricks to getting to the four-year university, which I love them to death for helping me with that transition. And when I got to the 4-year, I had to look for electives, and I found they had I was like, jewelry design. What? Like, does that, am I reading this right in the catalog?
Am I dreaming?
Jewelry design? Like, there's classes in college where I can go make jewelry.
Nice.
And I get credits for it. I was so shocked. I was like, no way. And I went and I met the professor, Dr. Fry. My heart goes out to Dr. Fry. I love this man. He was an amazing professor. He had his little niche carved out, their niche, whatever you want to say, carved out. He did his own work. He would do vessels. And he was just an amazing personality, amazing artist. And he loved his program, and it showed. And so I just dove in. I did the rest of my 3 years at school, all in his program. I was his TA. I ended up starting a metals club, and it just bloomed and blossomed. And I love teaching too. I mean, you probably can tell, like, I love doing the lives and the tutorials, and I love working with other people, especially if they're curious and want to learn about things. I love being able to do that. So it was just wonderful to have found this community of people who either wanted to experience it because they wanted to learn about it, or they were really also very passionate about it. And so I got to do that. I got to make that my degree. Now, as I got to the end of my art degree and I said, what am I going to do now for money?
Yes, so we can eat.
I was like, oh, wait. I was supposed to be thinking about making money at the end of my degree. That's what I was supposed to be doing. I wasn't supposed to be doing things I love. I was supposed to be figuring out how do I actually like make a way for myself in this world. And I would look around at these other people who are in the art program and I'd say, sort of two categories, and I'm totally categorizing people, which I hate doing, but it was sort of like you be a starving artist, right? Or there were people who came from families who had money, and I didn't have that. Yeah. And I was not going to starve. Like that was not an option for me. I just couldn't do that. Yeah. So I dove into the tech world, which is so funny.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've figured out how to make my way in the world. But the funny part about it is now I work in tech, which is, massive on the maths and the sciences. And whenever I'm in my job or interviewing for my job, they'll always be like, so your degree's in business or in engineering? I'm like, no, I'm a fine art major. I did metal smithing. And they're like,
what? How does that translate? Yeah.
Please explain. And then it's so funny, and I'm going to get maybe too close to where I work, but because of the fact that I did like lithography in school, because of the fact that I worked with glass and I know about coefficients of expansion, because of the fact that I like did all of these things with art, this is the part that makes me sad sometimes in schools where they keep cutting art programs, because the things I learned in art are directly applicable in the tech world. Like the things that I know that these very highly scientific people can do, I didn't do what they do at the macro level that they do, but I understand the process because I've done the process. I understand, what it is that they're doing in the design, design in the daily of their work in the tech spectrum, because of the fact that I've actually like physically done that from a technical, from an artist standpoint. And so for me, art is like the living and the doing and the creating of things, right? Where when you have tech and science, yes, right, to be able to, to scale it, to be able to, put the infrastructure behind it, to be able to, to take it forward. But you have to have that creative piece. And so for me, that's, how I've sort of been successful is my left and my right, brain. I use both on a daily basis.
Yes, you do.
And and the creative part, that part, so that background that I got in the fine arts and being able to, because I also did painting, I did ceramics. I always laugh and make jokes that I haven't really met a medium that I don't love except for photo, like book and scrapbooking.
Like, no, none of that.
No, I don't know why. I'm just like nope. Not my jam. No. So I pick up so many different techniques. I've taken, extension classes from colleges. That's how I learned how to do glass fusing. And I meet up with other artists, and then, we learn, like, Michelle, engineer at Play. She does photography and video work. And so I love photography too. And so like, I'll see what she does and I go, I'm going to try that. And then I'm like, gotta do that. Gotta get better at that. Right. And so, you just collect and you learn and you add new techniques. And and then just what my goal is, or should I say this online? I don't know if I should say this out loud, but my goal has been always to figure out how to make a business out of my creativity. How can I, really capitalize on that creativity, do what brings me so much joy and love, and see the joy and love it gives other people. And that's what I'm working towards. And if that means that's in my retirement, portion of life, or wherever it is, that's where I'm currently like putting my guiding star out into the universe, my intent for.
And I love that. I love that you're taking something you enjoy doing and you've enjoyed doing since you were a child, and you're monetizing it right now. You still go to work, but you're building for that future, for whether it's retirement or later on, but you love it. So it's not work. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So that's the great part. People have to go to school for something because we have to feed ourselves. But I'm always like, look, find something you love to do and find a way for it to bring you in some additional income. Because in my household, I believe that every heartbeat should have 2 streams of income. If it's someone under 18, their first stream that we count is school, but then they should have a way to be able to bring in income as well. So they learn from an early age how they can generate their own income, so they're not dependent on someone else and by someone else doing their job to pay them, because you never know, you know?
I think that's such a, I love that you say that, because I'm going to internalize that as well, because I have 2 young kids. I have a 7.5 and not just turned 9-year-old. And I don't know why my mom never really had to teach me that lesson, because for whatever reason, I was like, must make money, right? Like from birth, I don't know. It was like, must
You're like
figure
the Terminator. He was killing, and you were like, money, let's go.
No, I'm like, and I don't mean to make it sound greedy, or
no, it's not.
like, when you know, when you live without, or when you're in a circumstance where you're like, nope. And I know people, there's different ways of thinking about it. Like, that's when you know how to make something happen for yourself, when you know how to create means for yourself, it's power, right? It's empowerment, and you can empower others. And so for me, I was like, no, I am going to figure out how to make sure that I get to be the master of my domain, like how I can take charge and not have to be dependent on someone else, because then they get to decide for you so many things. And I don't love that at all. Sorry.
I agree.
Autonomy is in my top 5 value system. So the minute someone else's decisions start to like, yeah.
I agree.
Those over there.
I love that, because I think whether you're a boy or a girl, you should be independent. You should be able to, generate income, feed yourself, clothe yourself, house yourself. Those are the basic needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We are not about to have an education. As I heard myself say that, I was like, we're not doing that today. But it's like that. You need to be able to meet all of those.
I love that you're saying it, because honestly, I joked a little bit about it with my school experience. And I've actually had a lot of people kind of ask me questions about my school and background, which I kind of like talking about, because I've met so many people in different walks of life and different ways of looking at school. I have family who are like vehemently against the idea of, college. And like, for me, I look at college was like this huge turning point for me. I was floundering. I kept thinking I was going to go off and I was going to be this, famous fashion designer. I didn't need school. I was going to make it. I was going to, bring in that income, because I was so driven. And I know people who can do it, right? You can do it. It was not working for me. And when I got into college, and mind you, I went to a state school, right? So it's not like I went to some flashy college. I went to a good college, but and thank God for state schools, right? I had debt, but not not debt that would have come along with some of the other degrees. But when I was in school and I had to learn how to be what you're saying, I had to learn how to manage my own schoolwork, how to pay, for my bills, how to juggle working full time and going to school full time. There were so many things that it sort of pulled me through this, having to become fully independent, right? Having to become fully the problem solver for myself and figure out, if I want this, how do I do this? And then when I realized at the end of the journey, I was like, oh, I was supposed to be doing this to get a job.
Like, oops.
And I had a plan. I could have gone and I could have been a professor, right? Me and my professor at the time, he wanted me to go to RISD, which I was really excited about. And I was like, oh my God, 4 more years of college. Cause I started a little late. I graduated with my bachelor's degree at 25. So I was like,
I think that's how old I was too.
Yeah. So I was like, when he was like another 4 years of, working full time and going to school full time. And I was like,
no. Right.
So I was like, maybe, but paper writing, right. Not my forte. So I put and this is so off topic, but I feel like it's so important. But like, so I put myself out there. I applied for all these crazy jobs, which I got none of. But one of the jobs I applied for at the time, they could do this. You can't do this in a lot of companies nowadays, but they could search profiles and they could find you. And this person found my resume and brought me in for an entry-level admin job at a tech company. And it was the lowest offer. It was the most entry level of entry level. And I was like, I just got this degree. And like, nope, nobody cared. Nobody gave a damn. Yep. Nobody cared, right? Yep. And especially because it was an art degree. So I went and I interviewed and I took that job because I knew that job was going to have the most opportunity out of all the other offers. And it totally did. And this is the thing, you use that creativity, use that side of yourself to go and manifest positivity and manifest results for yourself in other places. And so I could use my creativity. I could use my drive. I could, my boss, like I get hired. I'm like, okay, I want to be promoted. He's like laughing at me. He's like, why don't you succeed at the job you have right now? And then we'll talk about whether or not you can be promoted. Right. I'm like, right. That sounds great. I'll do that. And then we did. Check. And and so so I use that drive, but like, I'll tell you it's like pieces sometimes have to come together, and then people in your life, and there's luck and there's circumstances that have to kind of all come together. But if you're just out there kind of like, no, no, you have to be like, when you put that intent out there, things come to you. You'll see things. You'll be open to things that you wouldn't normally be open to. Anyway, we've gone so far off of the creative space.
No, that is correct. Because I mean, even though we have lots of fun here and we laugh, we drop nuggets all day, because that's what it really is about. It's bringing, information and knowledge in a creative, entertaining way. So glad that you share that, because it's true. Like, you have to do all those things. And even with, I teach the Swagslayer Young Entrepreneurship class, and I always encourage them, no matter what state they're in, they should have some sort of form of like, you can go to high school and take college classes. Yeah. You even get to high school, because my oldest student is 11. You have to be ahead of the game in middle school in order to have your high school classes taken in middle school. So then when you get to high school, you have enough open seats to take the college classes, so that you can finish your bachelor's degree at 18 for free. Then not your bachelor's, I'm sorry. You can finish your AA or AS degree for free. Yep. The state will pay for it. And then you do the last 2 years and get your bachelor's degree. And typically there's some sort of scholarship, something, because you're still, so young and you're technically just starting college. So they'll give you, that money. So the next 2 years are free. And then if you want to get your master's, because let's face it, not everybody. Yes. Yep. Comments is going to say not everybody, but a large percentage of people have a bachelor's degree. So if you want to stand out, you need to get your master's, so you can take that next 2 or 3 years and have your master's, when all the rest of the children will be just finishing their bachelor's. You'll be just finishing your master's. All of you will leave college at the same time, but you'll be ahead of them because your degree is higher. And it's the same amount of time.
I just want to add something to that, though. So, and this is me as a hiring manager, but then also just having gone through this also. Yes, agreed. I get nervous sometimes because, oh my God, like everybody coming out of school is like a PhD or a master's degree. Like,
but they also need work experience. So you better work for the summer, because that degree with no experience is useless.
And by the way, okay, if anybody has any children is watching this, or anybody is, in this age, do the internships. Like, especially look for industries that have paid internships, because I did the free ones. I was not smart.
Me too. That was dumb.
I was not smart. If I had known, like tech, for example, they pay, and not only do they pay like cray what they pay their interns. It's amazing. So get those internships, like for sure. But I think the degrees are important. In some professions, they're not only important, they're required. Yeah. You can't even get in to some places unless you have the paper. And you can hate the paper, you can love the paper. It's just the way it is right now.
It's a requirement. Yeah.
It's a requirement. There are loopholes, but then you constantly have to figure out how to work the system, which is an extra step that you have to deal with
yourself at every moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally possible, and I'm not saying you need it and it's like fully required, but I'm just saying it's you know, where you want to create more challenge for yourself, and where maybe you want to say, okay, I'll give on that one. Totally everybody's choice. But so if you have that bachelor's degree, what I feel is more important, just as if I've worked with people, is a lot of people coming out of school right now, they have no purpose. Like, they'll come out with that degree and they'd be like, well, what do you love? They're like, well, I love da 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 da. Why?
Because it's rehearsed. They're just telling you what they were told to say.
Pick this? And they're like, because I was told that this is the degree in which I should go for, because it's going to make me a lot of money. And it's like, sure, totally gotcha. That is not the answer you give me when you answer that question. Right. You need to tell me, and I don't care if it's because your mom, you know, one day did something and it inspired you to go down this path, or I don't care if it's because of the fact that where you came from, you know, you didn't have means and you wanted an opportunity to work in a cutting edge place so that you can totally bring yourself to the forefront of technology or whatever, or forefront of business to go and conquer it and do something with it, right? You figure out your why. If you figure out your why and you show that passion to people, I don't care how many degrees you have. I don't care how much job experience you have. If you can walk into a interview and you show someone passion and you show someone direction and you show someone that you're willing to work to get yourself there, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And they'll hire you. Yep. And you may have to start at the bottom, but it works. And I think I always tell my students, you know, it's a nationwide company. It's Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So most people are like, yeah, I've heard of them. I've used their service. They've picked me up, whatever the case. And I always remind them, that person behind the counter that's ringing you up, I guess they're not technically ringing you up. They're typing up your contract and have you sign, and they walk around the car with you, who's out in the weather and the elements, cleaning that car and cleaning that car, and you're complaining, oh, this car this and this car that. That person has a bachelor's degree because they cannot work there without one. So think about that. And that's why I encourage my students in my class. I say, listen, they're literally in, because I'm in Florida, they are vacuuming cars in a shirt and tie if you're a male, dress pants and dress shoes, like a job in an office. Girls, same thing. They have to be dressed like they're going to an office, and they're in these elements, vacuuming cars in 90-degree weather, wiping down, washing cars, like at the car wash where the guys and gals there wear shorts and a t-shirt with a bachelor's degree. So if that's not something you like or want to do, and you are still so young that it's not going to stop you, you're spending the same amount of time that you would spend anyway, get the piece of paper. And if you choose never to use it, don't use it. But don't ever let a door be closed in your face because you chose not to get it. We figure something else out, because I understand you're at a different part of life. We get a tech degree, we do insurance licenses, but all my younger students, I tell them that story all the time because I'm like, it's not too late for you. You can still do it.
No, and it, like, I love it too, because I'm an example of it, right? I tell more stories. I didn't attend a lot of my junior college. I hated it. It was like high school, but times a lot more, because there were a lot more people there who didn't want to be there, you know, and there were a lot of people who did, but there were a lot of people who didn't want to be there. And I was fortunate that I got to, you know, mess up as I did, but like, I didn't want it in the beginning, right? I didn't see the need for it. And then I had to learn, and then I had to do everything so much later than a lot of other people in my life, because I had to take those learnings. But you can catch up too, right? Yeah. You'll find your way and find your journey. But like, and sometimes you got to make mistakes and figure things out. And actually, I love what you're talking about in terms of the young people. Like, it made me very exhausted hearing your story, because I'm like, I didn't do any of that stuff. I didn't even take the SATs, which I shouldn't admit out loud, but I didn't either. There was nobody driving me or pushing me in that space, right? I didn't have, like, there's parents nowadays, and I'm watching what I'm going to have to do with my kids, and I'm like, how do they not hate their parents? Their parents are like, You got to do all these things.
My child's not taking the SAT. She doesn't need it because I went to a junior college. You went to a junior college. She's going to dual enroll. So that's what they call it here in my state. So she's going to be taking the college classes from the junior college. You don't need SAT for that.
You figured that out, right? Like, and I had people I went to school with that did the same thing, but I didn't catch on to all that.
I found out after I graduated, and so I didn't get to do it, but my kid will.
That people need to like collect and share with, you know, the future generations. And then they don't like listening to people who are older because of course they know everything, because I knew everything then too.
Me too.
But the school part, like that. So for me, what's funny, I love what you're saying. If you're younger and you can do this the other direction. So if you have that person that's got the drive that's going to do that, please do it. I did not at that time. I wanted out of school. Like I just needed out of high school, was not my favorite place in the world. And so then going to junior college was not my idea of happiness. But the way I got into four-year college was actually because I was old. So, and I say old, I was like early 20s, but whatever.
Yeah, I was like, you're in your 20s.
But there is a program and they still have it. So once the first pass, people matriculate. So they go through and they get all those fresh 18-year-olds into their system, the 19-year-olds into their system. Once you hit, I think it's 21, which is where I was when I finally got into the, oh my gosh, so I was there for 4 years. That's true. So once you hit 21, which is and I believe it's still there because I was working with someone else not that long ago on the same process, you're considered, it's like when they tell you you're older and you get pregnant and you have a geriatric pregnancy, but they call you some name that's of course not flattering, right? And as a 21-year-old, you're old. And so therefore are not some young whippersnapper like right out of high school. And so then you get to qualify with a whole different set of expectations. And so that's how I actually got into four-year school, was because of that. And someone else who had done it and knew about it came and taught me about it. And so then I got to leverage that because of the fact that someone educated me. Otherwise I would have never figured out. But it doesn't matter where you are. If you did all this work beforehand when you were younger, if you didn't, like me, and you had to figure it all out later, what I feel like is that old saying, if there's a will, there's a way. So if you have that energy, if you have that want, if you have that desire, if you want more for yourself, if you know that you can do the work, just put it out there. And then you're going to find people, right? Start talking to people, and now I feel like I'm giving my development planning conversations, because this is what I do for a living now. But this, by the way, this is actually how I figured out how to love my tech job, is that I get to mentor and I get to do career development and I get to do all of that, which is something I love to do. But you have to share your intent with people, and people are going to judge it. So like a lot of times you will have people who go, why do you want that? Or you shouldn't want that, or how dare you want that, or you don't deserve that, or whatever. They're going to all have an opinion. They're going to have, sometimes they'll be like, wow, that's so cool. But so many more often than not, sometimes you're going to get a lot of judgment. And you have to just know that what you want is what you want, no matter what other people have to say, and you keep going. And you keep driving, because that's like with me currently in my jewelry business. Do you know how people told me, you're going to hate jewelry if you try to make it into your business. You're never going to succeed, trying to work against the manufacturers in China with, 10-cent jewelry. You're never going, insert whatever comment, obstacle I'm going to face because of what I'm trying to do. And then you have all of the cheerleaders too, like, wow, you sold something today. That's amazing. But it's hard to hear those words from people when they tell you all the reasons you're not going to succeed, because then that awful imposter syndrome, especially as a female, I know men and women of all walks deal with imposter syndrome. I have found, though, working a lot with my mentorship groups and with females in the industry I'm in, and then in other industries, for whatever damn reason, we have this imposter syndrome on levels that are just
definitely your industry and other industries, they tell us, as females, that's not the role typically that a female would have. So yeah, I can understand that, because I wanted to be a lawyer when I grew up. I wanted to be a corporate business lawyer. There are very few women in that. So yeah, we're told all the time, you know, that's not what you do. You have babies and you cook and clean. Well, I don't cook or clean in my house. My husband does. He's a fabulous chef and he's great at cleaning. And I only have one child, so I don't have children, you know, multiple. But that doesn't mean, you know, I'm still not a female who's great at what I do.
Yep.
So I'm glad that you're able to speak with people about that, because we do, as women, have that. And, you know, men do, but it's, I want to say, I don't know this. It's different, a bit less than we do.
Yeah, and it's not, and also too, different groups of people have different, you know, circumstances that they also have to be able to manage for, obviously. Yeah. So my point in bringing up the imposter syndrome is just that what's going to happen when you hear that negative criticism is it's going to cause you to have doubt, right? It's going to cause you to question yourself and say, am I being smart? Like, am I really, like, because these people are smarter than me, right? Like, they know more than I do. They, you know, they know me. Right. I shouldn't want these things. And that is where you have to, like, nope.
Yep.
I love, like, Oprah, you know Oprah's story, right? Where she wrote herself the $1 million check, right? And then she was like, I'm going to do this. And she is one of, like, the people I look up to so much, right? With just what she's accomplished in her life. And then now, where she turns out, she does so much philanthropic work. And it's just amazing to watch her success story. And I can't even imagine how many people told her no and told her she could or couldn't do.
Yeah.
And look at what she's done, right?
Look at what she's doing, and people still tell her she can't. So
I'm sorry. True, not in the past tense. Still very much true. But the thing about it is that this is where success is it's not even about. So this is hard to learn, by the way, as someone who's a hard worker. It's not about how hard you work, though you do need to work very hard. It's not about how smart you are, though you do need to continue making sure that you are a smart person. I find it's that element of that drive, but that drive that meets that ability to say to that voice, yeah, I'm terrified right now and I don't know what I'm doing. And maybe this is crazy, and I may not get where I want to go, but I'm going to try it anyways. Yeah. I am going to go and I'm going to try this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to, at least take the experience away with me. And I'm going to see what successes I can manifest with this. And I've waited 41 years to get my jewelry business, finally up off the ground. And because I waited so long, I listened way longer than I should have to those voices, way longer than I should have to all of the, advice and thoughts of other people. And so finally I was like, you know what? There's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be a right answer. I'm going to do it now. And then COVID, but you know what? I'm doing it. It's working. It's small, but it's mine. Yes. And I've met people like you in the process.
And we love what you're doing, by the way. It's amazing.
And this is the part, right? Which is there's nobody who's going to come over and be like, I'm going to lift you up and take you there. And I think sometimes we watch movies or we get told stories.
Yeah, and they're 90 minutes, but they're really like a 15-year story.
And we think it's just like instantaneous. And I am not patient. I always make jokes about the fact that, like, when the values are being distributed, somebody forgot to put in the patience value for me. I got like a little like flicker and that's it. And I have no patience. So like for me, it's like, I always feel like I'm never making any progress. Like this is not going fast enough. And then I have to have other people go, okay. And then there are so many people in my life who think I'm like trying to get compliments from them because they're like, do you really not see it? I'm like, no, because I am like trying to get here. Yeah. And I am not there. And they're like, but last time you and I talked, you wanted to hit hill A and you're now on like hill AAZZ 42.
Right.
I'm confused right now. Can we?
They are confused. They're like, what?
They're like, can we like talk about the delta between where you were when we talked and where you are today? Because
I'm the same way, Shannon. My husband has to talk me down. He's like, girlfriend, have a seat. Remember where you came from and where you are. But all I can see is where I'm trying to go.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I get it. I 100% get it. So
you need those people, right, who can ground you again, because when you're that person who's flying towards that guiding star, it's hot, it burns hot and it burns bright, and you're afraid, your wings are melting, right? You're like, am I going to be able to lift myself on this? And then you forget how high you've flown. And then, you know, a lot of times you're trying to bring other people along in that process, because I don't know about you, but that's one of the best parts about it, is that and I know that your journey is definitely not going to be the journey that other people can take, and you've got circumstances, but like, still sharing, because that's the thing I love with other people. I don't necessarily love like when people try to transpose their advice onto you and think you're going to just do what they say, but like, I love hearing the journeys other people take. Like, when you're stuck somewhere and you get, you know, people, all these walks of life, people telling you, well, here's what I did, here's what I did, here's what I did. Eventually you're like, ooh, I get little berries from each one of those, and I've now got a salad.
Yep.
So yeah,
and that's why I do the show, because one, so you can tell your story for other people to get to know you, and we can hear about, you know, what you do and what you're passionate about. But two, it's because if we all talk together and you the show with everyone that comes on, just like you said, you get a nugget from everybody, and then you're like, oh, I can put this together into something I can use, because my journey isn't your journey and yours is not mine. And that's what I love about the group I'm in. Well, I'm in a couple groups, but one of the groups I'm in, like, we conversate all the time. And like I was telling you, it's hardly ever about reselling. Every now and then it's actually about reselling, but it's more about entrepreneur type stuff, and like, what are you doing here? And it encourages you, and you're like, oh, I can do that. Oh, and you know how to tell me how I can do it. Yeah, tell me, because I'll do it. You let me know what to do, where I can find the information. You know, so I really like
step by step, right? You don't need someone to be like, you know, pull you through. A lot of times it's just those little bits of information, and then you're like, oh, and then you move forward. Then you're, oh, wait, I'm stuck again. And then that's the thing, like, that's the part where I talk about, you know, creativity is never going to be exactly the same, right? So share. But like, also successes, share your successes. It sounds sometimes like boasting, but let other people learn. The gender role thing. Oh yeah. So the gender role thing, we could have a whole
she wanted to be a plumber, so she totally gets it. And then Rhonda's saying you definitely need to support you, but keep you grounded as well. That is probably for me, because Rhonda's always trying to keep me grounded. Let me just tell you a quick story, and we're gonna respect y'all's time because we're 6 minutes over, but you know, here. But no, for the Swagslayer New Year's Eve live on YouTube, I wanted to do 24 hours. Yes, exactly. That's what everybody else did when I said it out loud. They all giggled like, what? So I had mentioned it to Rhonda, because she is the co-host on my Saturday night show that we don't do anymore, because now we're doing 11 a.m. Monday through Friday together. But I was like, man, I don't know if I can get together. It was kind of last minute. But then even more last minute, I was like, I think we could probably do it. And Rhonda was like, listen, but that ain't gonna work. So like, she talked me down at first, and I was like, why is she trying to talk me out of it? I'm doing 24 hours. We can't do it. We can make it work, right? She was like, no, she was trying to say, you're gonna kill yourself, and I'm trying to keep you alive.
Yeah. And knowing Ron as much as I do, watching her, because I watch her all the time, she probably did it in like the most sweetest way. Like, really? How are you gonna pull this off? Like, please explain. When you're gonna go to the bathroom, and are you gonna sleep?
I had a plan. I was
like, what are you gonna do?
I had a whole plan. I was like, I'm gonna take a nap. Like, I had a whole thing.
I can see you have plans. I'm gonna say this though, Tiana, if you really, like, if you want it, you will do your 24 hours one day. I know you will, but only if you actually want it. That's the part where I'm like, 24 hours sounds like a really big commitment to me.
That's a long time. And I was gonna pull it off in like a week, but I said, you know what? Either one day I'm gonna have a production team, and they're gonna be able to help me do the 24 hours. I'll have another person who's seasoned and understands how to use the system and can fill in while I take a 4-hour nap and all that. And someone I can trust too, because I can't just have anybody on here saying some crazy, because it's on my
right.
But you know, Rhonda, I know you on the live, girl. I am thinking maybe We probably gonna talk after this, and she's gonna be like, no. Maybe next year I might be able to pull it off. I don't know. But what I do know is big production teams like CBS, NBC, they do a 24-hour and then they drop the ball in New York. So some kind of way it is possible.
Well, and so now that you've stated your intention, you've stated your guiding star, you kind of shared a little bit with us, right?
Yes.
I see it now, right? I can see it. And I don't know when it's going to be the right time for you. That's for you to decide for yourself, right? But I can't wait to see it. I've seen what you've done so far, and it's been exciting, and I've enjoyed it. And so I know you're just going to keep building in what's good for you and what you want to be doing. And I'm here for it. So I will be there to watch when you do your 24-hour, and I will be like, I don't know how she does 24 hours because I can barely commit to an hour. And I just quick segue, if you don't mind me building off of your impressive, accomplishment.
Yes, go for it.
So I am putting my foot out there with that intent this year of being consistent with my lives, and I'm going to be doing the Made For You special. I've got 2 promos on my Instagram page right now about a giveaway. The concept of the giveaway is that I love doing custom jewelry for people. And what I've noticed is people like watching when I do custom pieces with people, and it just gets the word out of what I'm doing. And then someone gets something that they absolutely love, which, by the way, is my favorite part of making things, is when it's for someone. And then they're like, that moment. Then it happens when people are not real happy with something. You're like, nope, we're going to make this so you're happy.
Yes.
But that's like they're getting yes to yes. But when they love it, that it's just, that feeling of like, yes, you have now taken that positive energy and you have now imparted it onto someone, and it means something to them.
It does.
So that's what Made For You is about. You can check out my page. I have 2 promos. I'll be doing another promo on it tomorrow. But you can sign up if you want to participate. There's some steps on there on what you need to do. If you want to nominate others, you can do that as well. But literally, it's an opportunity. I'm going to start having regular lives where I will have someone come on. We'll have done some work in the some homework to say, what style do you like? What colors do you like? What are you looking for? And then you don't get to see what I'm going to make, because I'm going to make it for you on the live. And then there's that moment, and there could be a wah, 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 right? And that's kind of exciting. Or there will be that like, yay. And there could be like a meh. And so, we'll get to see, there'll be that emotional element, but then also, we'll figure out how to get to the yes and how to get to that, excited part. So if you're interested and you love jewelry, go take a look at that promotion. And then I'm going to be starting my schedule this year for having those live sessions on my channel, so that if you want to take a look, you'll be able to see them as they come forward in the 2021 timeframe.
Yes. So everybody, well, real quick, this last comment. Christy's like, yeah, different co-hosts at different time zones. So Christy, mark your calendar so you could be a co-host in a different time zone. Thanks, girl. Thanks. But no, Shannon, I want to thank you so much for coming on the Swagslayer Feature Friday YouTube live show. Slayers, make sure you are following her at Shanrala Handmade on Instagram. Make sure you sign up for the or click the like notification thing on IG. So when she does drop those times for the live shows, you'll be able to see them and you get notified. Of course, you know where to find me at Swagslayer Fashion on YouTube, on IG, and Swagslayer on Facebook. Look for me in the new year on Periscope as soon as I figure out how to use that. Do not forget to slay that subscription button and that notification bell, and hit the thumbs up, and share this video with one person you think can benefit from getting the information that we shared today. Thank you again, Shannon. If you need anything from her, do not hesitate to DM her your information or any questions, or to put it in an order, or if you just wanted to talk to her and give her some tips on Etsy, because we love to see our friends grow and learn. Thanks so much with this, Slayers. Bye.